Welcome back, everyone, to another super special bonus live episode of the Higher Ed Geek podcast here at EDUCAUSE in Nashville. If you're following along, this is our final bonus episode, and it's a good one because the kind of serendipity of it all. My guest here, Jenny Maxwell, is from Grammarly, but now known as Superhuman. They just did a rebrand and announced it today, so that's kind of a fun thing. So I'll let you kind of speak more to that. But if you also just want to introduce yourself and your role at now Superhuman and kind of like the work that you all do in this space of higher ed.
Yeah, happy to. Thanks for having me. And it is a serendipitous day. This is the first podcast interview I get to say that I am Jenny Maxwell, and I am the head of Superhuman for Education, the tool that powers a very revered and loved brand that is Grammarly, which is not going away. And we are about 8 hours old as of this moment.
Because just to put it in time and space, you may be listening to this at a different point. Like that announcement came out today, which was really cool. And I guess, if you want to just speak more to the way that you all kind of show up in the education space,
Sure.
kind of, historically, and I guess, what brings you to EDUCAUSE, I guess, to kind of engage more with this community.
So Grammarly was born the same year as my daughter in 2009, and we came into the ed tech world as a tool primarily to help with the command of composition in the English language. We have 3 Ukrainian co-founders who set out to really solve the always-on writing assistant tool or issue that they had when they were learning in the language. A lot's happened in the last 16 years, and we developed an incredible enterprise experience for both businesses and education. And then really looking at how we show up in education is we really serve broader institutions who want to deploy equitable access to our tool at scale, along with deep analytics and data to help inform pedagogical shifts or changes, course outcomes, and the like. So it's really a way for us to help support institutions in the ever-evolving sort of goals around retention and overall institutional and student success. We show up at EDUCAUSE because, as you can imagine, we have an incredibly prolific direct-to-consumer business, and we have a growing enterprise business, and there's a lot of conversation around data and security and privacy between how students use the tool in both of those different types of instances on the same campus. And so partnering with the CIO audience who shows up at EDUCAUSE and campus leaders who deeply care about data has helped inform a much better experience of our product. And so we feel like it's a non-negotiable to be in the room here, making sure that what we are creating is in deep partnership with our institutional clients.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been a fan and a user for a long time, and you're noting I have a sticker on my laptop of old Grammarly now, vintage, yeah. But like that idea of, classically, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of Grammarly as just sort of like, oh yeah, you can just sign up and use it yourself and whatever. But some of the conversations I've been having here, I think most of them off mic on this topic, but like the idea of the way that we can provide tools and resources to students to create like a level playing field, and like the idea of like enrolling at college and, perhaps going and living in the residence halls or whatever else. It's like, okay, you're there, you've got everything you need and whatever else. And the idea that you can, as an institution, be like, everybody gets grammar, like everybody's, versus just being like, oh, well, I didn't even know about it. That's, and there's this person over here using it and like a power user, somebody else over here doesn't even know it exists or that they're allowed to use it or, any of those kind of use cases. So, I want to talk more about those dynamics, but I know there's one product that you have that we want to kind of highlight in particular is Grammarly authorship or Superhuman
Yes.
authorship. So if you just want to speak more to that and how you see it being impactful in the higher ed space.
Yes. Well, actually, a year ago at this conference, we brought the student who inspired authorship to our panel to talk about our role in creating insight and analytics for students leveraging AI in a world where they are in courses where some faculty may fully embrace and others may not. And they're really trying to jockey between what are the specific syllabus recommendations or rules or honor code implications for using AI. And so one of the things that has come out in the last really year and a half of working with our student audience around AI and detection was we can put some on-device flows together where as a student is creating a long-form piece of writing, because it's on-device and it's permission dependent, we can create a report on how that student created their long-form writing. And this tool is now called authorship, and we assign no morality to this, right? It is what it is. And here's how students engaged with not only our LLM, OpenAI, Claude, whomever, how they iterated and edited their own human created content. And really, what we have found in the last year with authorship is the conversation between a faculty member and a student has dynamically evolved and in a way that faculty feel a sigh of relief. That's the feedback. Like, my goodness, I can talk to them about the process. And it's not just this end piece and it where it was flagged and what some potentially faulty AI detection software may be flagging, which really helps lessen the perceived tension between faculty and AI use right now. And so I'm really proud of the product. It won the EdTech Breakthrough Award this year. We were also recognized by Fast Company as having a really great innovative tool in education. So, the market is responding favorably. We want to do more of this type of responsible deployment of our AI tools. And so we're thinking about that now as we navigate into a different world where we're going to offer lots of agents on our platform. How can we maybe even bring more insight into how students are leveraging various agents in their workflows?
Yeah, that's been something I've been really exciting to see, and it's kind of refreshing in the sense of like platforms and tools that allow for that kind of transparency and the kind of collaboration. And because I think like it's kind of a classic thing for like a teacher is like, show me how you got this answer, like show me your work, that's an
Yes.
important part of the process, and like
Yes.
creating sort of avenues to do that, because we know that like really meaningful faculty engagement is like a super high impact practice, and like how do we enable that through the tools that we're using and everything. Especially again, like the ability to kind of show your work is, I think, such a valuable part of kind of the feedback process versus it just being, grading the paper and all that. Because
Yeah.
either are giving feedback in a vacuum, like without that, or like making assumptions of like, oh, I'm sure they used AI to write this or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, actually, I'll take the assignment, the submission as it is, and also see how they got there, and just kind of give a whole sort of more holistic feedback on
Mm.
their submission and stuff. So it's exciting to hear about. And yeah, so this is sort of the big question I was kind of alluding to, that idea of like that interplay of like an individual user, or using AI, tools like yours or others, like sometimes it's being used for just sort of like routine everyday tasks, and just kind of either trying to kind of optimize those, but then the idea of like embracing something holistically as an organization to just help it run more effectively and efficiently. I'm just thinking about it, especially just I guess in your all's work, there's like that idea of um, any organization, like I'm working through this because I think there's like so many different use cases, like for students or for like faculty and staff, and how they're
Mhm.
interacting and stuff. But take it as you will, I guess, of how you want to answer it. But like, how do you see that interplay of responsible use of AI helping routine everyday tasks, like that being a use case, and that it also being helpful for optimizing for effectiveness and efficiency, versus sort of more like the big strategic kind of things? Like, just
Yeah.
any thoughts on that, and we can kind of
Yeah.
break it down.
Oh,
But
so many thoughts. So I think what is going to win in this space when it comes to the right partnerships between industry and ed tech and institutions is the notion of, I call it I think 2026 is going to be the year of the toggle, right? Deep customizations based off of user groups and what those goals are. Maybe they're assignment goals, right? And as a student works through their command of the course, they are other tools will be afforded to them based off of performance or certain criteria. And then thinking about, well, your faculty are going to likely really enjoy a lot more productivity gains, that you may not want to offload that same workflow on students. And so
Mhm.
having the variation of what an agentic bench looks like for faculty versus students, or, your administration, is how we will delight at this scale. And I think that's what we're really excited about. That's what we're learning about in our enterprise customers in the business world. Things that they want their customer success teams to have might vary differently from their copywriters and their marketing teams, who really care about their brand tone and making sure that everything that goes out is buttoned up. I will say we are really proud of how we're building the specificity in higher education, because we are doing it alongside our biggest customers. They are telling us, for these use cases, for these types of assignments, this is the customization we want. And it's all because they don't want to cognitively offload sort of the big thinking moments, the way to create performance and grit over time to build the muscle that we are going to need as workers in the next 10 years with AI. So, yeah, we're thinking a lot about this.
Yeah, because I guess what is on my mind is there's sort of like, it's grabbing headlines when like an institution is just like, oh, we're giving all our students ChatGPT licenses. And it's like, in my head, I'm like, cool, but like, are you just sort of like sending them off like into the wilderness with this tool? And they're like, some are probably again being power users, others aren't, or like, maybe they're not getting as much guidance and support with it as possible. So I think it is that idea of kind of what you're getting at of like kind of toggling, contouring or kind of, I think that'll be kind of endemic or sort of like
That's table stakes, right? Like,
yeah.
and it's funny because we're here at EDUCAUSE, and I'll probably have to, mind my p's and q's after I say this, but I'll walk that vendor hall, and I am very suspect of what everyone is calling their AI tool. And then as both a consumer and someone who's building product for education, my kids are school age. I deeply care about what they're going to inherit when they enter into college in the next 5, 10 years. So I think one of the things that we are deeply thinking about and committed to is we're building all of these AI tools. We're going to create, lots of specificity and toggling and all the things. But so what? If we can't actually prove a correlation between the goals of the institution, whether they're student success or faculty, overall research gains or whatever, back to the product use, then what are we all doing? And so a big part of what I'm most proud of, the work I've been doing lately and the work we're going to continue to do in 2026 is continue the largest sort of AI analysis of our tools against course and student performance, where we are working with third party who have the IRB clearance and we can actually publish correlation data around retention and course success. Because that to me is the whole reason for getting into the specificity and making sure that there isn't cognitive offloading happening at scale. So, it's all the things at once. It's, you got to be mindful that the learning experiences stay with the integrity that the institution commands. You got to be mindful of customization and meeting faculty where they're at. You got to give insight into how students are learning with these tools and what tools you have to do it all. And I think because of that, we're going to see far fewer companies actually prevail in the next several years as true partners in education. And we will be on that. We will be on that side.
Yeah, and I get what I'm just sort of sensing and feeling, which I really love, is that idea of if you just like give a bunch of students ChatGPT licenses and there's not the transparency, there's not the contouring, there's not the kind of specialization. Like I've been seeing some really cool examples, like what you were explaining, but just like yeah, like it provides that transparency or is sort of something that kind of like lives a little bit more in kind of a walled garden. Like an AI
Yes.
tool that sort of is like built on a faculty's course materials or whatever like so it's like using that as sort of the primary source filling in gaps elsewhere but it's just sort of the world's knowledge but that's been really exciting to me I guess is where it feels like even just within this sort of short term of like AI platforms and stuff like that there's kind of that maturation or sort of like
Mm.
I'm hoping that that is what's going to be more indicative of like
True
AI.
transformation. Yes.
Yeah, like that is true transformation.
Yes.
Like that feels really impactful, really positive. Like we're considering all the things that we should be considering and measuring them and, not just sort of, yeah, like kind of throwing people to the wolves, the AI wolves or something, like,
Right. Right.
because yeah, I think there just needs to be a lot of that thoughtfulness.
100%.
Yeah.
Adopting an LLM is not an AI strategy.
It's a hot take. It's a good little soundbite there, and I think you're alluding to a lot of kind of future plans. So if you want to speak more to that, or about the rebrand and stuff, but like just anything that you're excited about your work as you're kind of looking to the year ahead.
I'm most excited about the results that we are hearing back from our customers. It makes me feel really good that we are helping them solve true systemic issues that have been aligned to retention and overall institutional effectiveness, especially right now. It's so hard. There's so much empathy for higher education, given all the things with budget and the political climate. And everybody wants to go into this work because they want to help people thrive in their lives. And so when I feel like it can come into those conversations and definitively prove that our product and our relationships help institutions achieve that, I'm really incredibly proud of that. It's actually what keeps me in education and doing this work. So I'd say more of that, and we're going to keep that as sort of our North Star as we expand what Superhuman is going to do for institutions. We're going to always come back to how do we measure this? How does this improve lives? How do we actually deliver on this promise that AI is, maybe I'm just this, insane optimist about it, but I do believe that AI is going to really help transform the personalization of learning. And I think the more students that have, time learning, being exposed to different ideas and critical thinking, we're going to be better off as a society. And the faster we get to that part, the happier we'll all be.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll give you the final word here, as we'll be doing with all our guests. Any final bits of advice, resources, or kind of calls to action for folks as we're wrapping up this episode, and you're like bringing us home, finishing
Yeah.
up our interviews here at EDUCAUSE.
Yes.
So you've got the
Yes.
final word.
Okay, final word. My call to action is with my colleagues who are creating products. Your customer needs to be front and center of every decision you make. Keep their voice very loud and proud and obvious, and build alongside them. And I think great things will happen when you keep educators, in the partnership path right next to you. So.
Yeah, very good call to action and advice. And we'll have ways to connect with you and Superhuman in the episode description here. But just really appreciate you making time on what I'm sure is a big, busy day for you guys
Happy
in a lot
to.
of different ways, and sharing all that you did.
Yes, thank you so much.